If your handwriting is shaky or unsteady, like many people, there's actually lots of things you can do. Easy tweaks, easy improvements, and that will help you immediately. So in this video, I want to look at 3 categories: tools, posture, and techniques. At the end of the video, you'll have at least one actionable tip to improve your handwriting straight away, to reduce the shakiness of your handwriting. So here's a list of things that might help. But before we jump in, please consider subscribing to my channel. It's new, everybody counts, and I'm on a mission here, man. I really want to improve as many people's handwriting as possible, because I think the art of handwriting is an important human cultural facet. So please subscribe, give us a thumbs up as well, and press the notification button down below. So our first category is tools, and there are a couple of things you want to do, but I start with this always: get a fountain pen. All my other tips are built on the fact that you have a fountain pen, and I'll explain a bit on that later. But just get yourself a fountain pen. They're not very expensive. I've done tons of videos on that topic already, so make sure to check those out. So if you have a fountain pen, you'll immediately notice that they write under their own weight. And this means you have less stress, less straining, which improves shakiness, because the more relaxed you write, the less shaky it will be, which is a bit counterintuitive, I admit, but it is the truth. All right, number 2, get a thicker pen. So if you get yourself something more hefty, like a Shaver Award, but I really recommend this Lamy, because it's also very lightweight. It's ergonomical, the grip, and it's very lightweight. So if you can find something thicker barreled but still lightweight, that's great. Slim barrels, they make you cramp up a bit. Especially if you have larger hands, thicker fingers, a very slim barrel will make sure you have to really hold down on it, and cramping is not good. So try and get a thick, lightweight barrel. So my next tip also has to do with the tools, and it's get a large nib. So I recently, I'm very grateful, someone gifted me this Pelikan 140 from 1955, very cool old pen, and this nib is pretty large. Let's see, can I get it to focus? Sort of, right? Yeah, that's a number 6 nib, I guess. It's pretty big. And I guess I have to focus the camera now, so bye-bye. So what these large nibs do is they allow you to hold the pen higher up. So from the paper with a smaller nib, let's see, this is a number 5 nib from Parker. I really have to get in there, cramp down on it. So that's another good tip, get a big size nib. My next tip also has to do with the nib. If you can find an italic nib, a cursive fountain pen, or accountant's nib, so this is an accountant's nib, those nibs are a bit more flat, and what they do is, I found that they really drag the nib along the paper, so they guide themselves in a way. So what that does is it forces you to write at a consistent angle. So this is a very good example of a very flat nib. So this is a sort of an italic, oh man, it's a bad drawing. Yeah, that's better. So this is a stub or a calligraphy nib or an architect's nib, accountant's nib, one of those specialty nibs. What they do is they guide you along the paper and force you to write a bit neater, and I found it really reduces my shakiness a lot. So if you can find one of those nibs or grind them yourself, I have actually done this with a cheap fountain pen, that would be great, would really help you out. Another nib tip, get a nib with a bit of a broader stroke. This forces you to write a bit bigger as well, which I'll come back to later. but a broader stroke, it masks the fact you're shaking. So that's a good tip as well. Also, wetter, thicker lines, they are usually better for people that are a bit unsteady. And if you can afford to get, you can, it's not that expensive. If you are getting a bit broader nib, maybe consider a really broad one, and you can recognize those by the small little B, which will be somewhere here on the nib. It says FMB. If you can find a B or double B, try that. I think you'll like it. So the next category is really important, and that's posture. So I've done a whole video on posture, which will be up. One of those, you'll find it. I really recommend checking that one out if you don't know a lot about posture. It's really a basic video, but you'll get the grip of it by just watching that video. It's a short video. And it's really important to know what the problem actually is. And I'm not a doctor, so after these tips, if you find you're still shaking a lot and practice doesn't help, I really recommend go see a physiotherapist or a doctor to examine what the underlying problem is, right? Because if there's something going on, well, obviously writing a lot won't help you. But if it's just inexperience, practice. So let's take a look at posture. What's the problem? Well, most of the times it actually has to do something with the shoulder. So it starts with, let me look up this word. It's a result of poor proprioceptive skills, which are motor skills. Proprioceptive skills are motor skills, right? So practice is actually the only remedy. It has to do with the small muscles in your fingers, your fine motor behavior, but also, and maybe this is more surprising, your shoulder. So if you have a cold and stiff shoulder, it will actually affect the shakiness of your, or the steadiness of your writing. So what tends to help, scientists have found, is just do some exercises, some shoulder warm-ups. So not just the fingers, but warm up the shoulders by rolling them around a bit. So this will reduce shaking most of the times. Also, check your posture. So as I said, there's a whole video about this, but to summarize it briefly, are you sitting up straight? Are you relaxed? Are the shoulders relaxed? If they are, is your elbow or your underarm resting on the desk relaxed, in a relaxed manner? And then you have to figure out that the wrist, the forearm, and the pen are somewhat at a straight line from the tip of the elbow to the tip of the pen. So a relaxed line, not a stiff, rigid, go in that way kind of line, like forcing it, right? But a relaxed line. So, and if those are the cases and your wrist is not at an odd angle, your posture is correct. So my third category is technique, and this is where you can make a lot of difference. So first off, warm up. So a lot of people have a shaky handwriting for the first couple of lines, me included. So what you do is just write a couple of lines on a demo piece of paper before you start the actual work piece, if you think it's important that it looks good, right? And then after a couple of lines, you'll find the shakiness reduces somewhat, and then you start the real work piece. All right, this is a good tip. This has helped me a lot. Try to write faster. So often the problem with shakiness is that you are trying to write too slowly. And when you write too slowly, you'll tend to press harder, but also your lines won't flow, right? Because it's the speed. It's like whoosh that makes the curly bits look good. So what I recommend is try to speed up and try to write as fast as you possibly can, and then turn it down a notch until it's legible again. And try and hold that speed for a couple of lines, and then try and make it your own, right? But this helped me a lot. And don't worry about the end result. If you have all these whooshes and swooshes and curls going on, it's okay if you mess up a bit at the beginning. But learning to write faster will really help you reduce shakiness. Also, and this is also an important one, write bigger. So when you write bigger, it masks the shakes, the tremors in the lines, and also it's easier if your proprioceptive skills are not up to par to write somewhat bigger. Don't worry about it looking too big or something. Most people tend to have pretty small handwriting as it is, and could actually benefit from a bit bigger hand. So here's another great tip for you. Don't overthink it. So as you've made up from all my previous tips, perhaps, it's all about writing naturally, relaxed, flowing, and not really stressing it too much. And if you overthink it, you're probably trying to control the shakes. And the more you try to control it, the more strain you will develop in your hand, and the more fear of failure you get. And all these things will actually increase the shakiness and the unsteadiness of your handwriting. So I really recommend trying to loosen up a bit, relax your grip as well. If you haven't already, just a gentle reminder to keep checking whether you are straining anywhere, and if you are, try to loosen that part up a bit. And also, and this is the most important technique that will help a lot of people, but it requires some practice, and that is the Palmer method, in which you use your shoulder in a supporting motion when writing. So not just the fingers. If you have not very good motor skills, it really helps to use the whole arm to make your curls and your swirls, right? So dive into that as well, the Palmer method. It's a really good technique for reducing shakiness. So what's the takeaway from this all? Well, don't write too small, try to write a bit bigger. Don't write too slow, try to write a bit faster. Wetter pens that keep up with the writing speed tend to help, but also larger nibs, thicker barrels. Not too heavy though, it can help some people, but too heavy also increases strain. So you want to go after the most relaxed writing posture and writing grip you can possibly find. So that's the main takeaway. Don't focus on controlling it, focus instead on letting go and letting it flow. Relax. The more relaxed, the more steady the hand. And on that bombshell, I say, and I see you next time. Let's cap it.